Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Devil's Advocate. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. Obviously, a bit of a strange one. For some reason, YouTube playing up a little bit. Could be a StreamYard problem. Who knows? But we're back anyway. Get your likes in. Get your comments in. Hammer, sorry about that, buddy. Long time until obviously you coming in to talk about your piece. Talk
Yeah.
to me, buddy.
Well, like I was telling Stu and Kevin, or is that his name? Yeah. They all were being a little bit nicer than I would be, and I think part of it is me being tired as shit. Like I said, I didn't get back home probably till 3 in the no 2 in the morning or something like that. But that was difficult to watch. That was like Kevin said backstage. That was a long 90 minutes. That I'm not. I don't think anybody actually, other than what Stu said, other than Onana, everybody else should be. I mean, they're not going to be, but they should be embarrassed for the performance they put out today. This is a Manchester derby, and taking away everything else that's going around the club, to put that performance out in a Manchester derby in general is a joke. There was the quality was poor, and then as we've seen too many times throughout the seasons, not even just this one, the effort was abysmal. Um, there was no fight. There was no nothing. We just, except for those first 10 minutes when it looked like we might start out good, and then we just fell back onto just subpar everything across the board. Um, and then just to comment on what you all were talking about as well with the midfield, I also wouldn't have played McTominay, but if you are playing McTominay, I don't understand what the like. I get it. He's been scoring goals, and maybe recency bias and stuff is making people excited, but he's not a 10. No, he last time he was a striker or an offensive person was when he was in the academy. So he's not a 10. We know he can't play a DM role from the years that he's been here when it was him and McFred and we wanted to
Mm.
slaughter them year after year. So if you're gonna put McTominay in, you put him in a pivot and you tell him to be a box to box and use your energy. You don't ask him to
Mm.
be a 10 and ask him to create and ask him to score goals just because he has a couple goals in the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
Um, and
We,
then in
we seem
terms of
to do that. I think we've done that throughout the years,
yeah,
really, with various managers. I think we see a couple of goals from someone, and we're like, oh, okay, let's talk about
yeah,
the past. Let's put them in this position and all this sort of thing. And it doesn't
yeah.
quite work like that, does it?
And
Yeah.
then overall, when you're talking about Ericsson, believe me, there is massive deficiencies in Ericsson's game for different reasons. Just as certain things that he lacks overall, just physically and everything. But you don't also put Ericsson at pivot. You know he can't run. You know he can't defend. He doesn't have aggressiveness. He doesn't have anything. So
Hmm.
you don't take Ericsson's creativity, put him in a pivot, and then put McTominay at 10. And then I'm sorry, the part that blew my mind more again was the sub. You take Amrabat off, the only defensive midfielder
Yep.
technically
Yep.
on the pitch.
Yep.
You move McTominay back to a pivot, and then when play resumes, Ericsson's sitting and McTominay's going upfield. It just
Mm.
it doesn't make sense. The coaching was poor, the playing was poor, everything was poor across the
It
board,
was.
and they should be ashamed. They should be embarrassed, but they're not going to be.
Here's an interesting point for you, Stu. Manchester United have now lost as many Premier League games at Old Trafford since Alex Ferguson retired
Uh,
as they did during his 26 years. That's horrid. 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 Roy Keane, of course, Gary Neville going in as well. Yeah, Stu, what can we add to this, really? Where do we go from here? You know, lots of people, I don't want to condone this because I think it's absolutely incorrect, but a lot of people call him for Eric Ten Hag, and that's not the resolution, in my opinion. But I mean, you can't have too many more now before he's seriously he's going to be up for the sacking, really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but if that's the case, then 80% of these players were around when Ollie was there. And that they did it to Ollie, so they're doing it to Ten Hag now. It's just, you got to draw the line somewhere, and if the players are moaning and crying like babies, then tough. Ten Hag stays in. If you don't like discipline, tough. Go and play for another club. We can't allow babies like Sancho to do what he's doing, and babies like Bruno on occasions whinging and moaning instead of actually grabbing the game by the scruff of its neck. You can't do any of that. You can't allow that. You need winners, and you need real winners. You need nasty fuckers in there as well. We don't have a nasty spine at all. I don't necessarily take take umbrage of the team that he picked. I tend to just disagree with the lads. I think Eriksen was a shrewd move today. He just didn't have the players around him, and this is the whole point of what we could do. We didn't play the way that we should. When you're playing 4 in the middle, you play a 2+2+2. So you play Rashford and Højlund up top as your 2 central focal points. You play Bruno and Eriksen, okay, as the 2 behind, so they could stretch the play when needed, and also cover any inverted fullbacks and surround Rodri and surround Stones when needed. And then ideally you'd have played Casemiro and Amrabat. You couldn't do that, so you had to play McTominay. You don't even have to play McTominay in there. You could have put in Mount and maybe drop Bruno in as an 8. There are ways of doing it, and these players can play football. It's just that they don't want to play football. And when we do something, it's too late. So you can argue as much as you like about Ten Hag is this and Ten Hag is that. But if those morons aren't actually doing what he's maybe talking to them about, or they can't be bothered to play football, it's an irrelevance. It doesn't matter who you manage it. I can manage Manchester United. It wouldn't make any difference. I'd probably still get the same results that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got and what Erik Ten Hag's got. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got us to 2nd in the division, and what happened? We dropped off to 6th or 7th. He did nothing different, I bet, in season 2 than what he did in season 1 or season 3 and 2, whichever way it was around. It just doesn't happen like that. What happens is player power, agency power, finances in the game have allowed these idiots to dictate to Manchester United rather than the club dictating to them. And when you get a little bit of adversity, somebody turns around and has a pop at them, they start crying. And this is a consequence of where football is today. And I, for one, am fed up with it.
Mm-hmm. We are still having issues with YouTube, and I don't know what's going on. Obviously, a clear issue between the two. We're not going to go on for too much longer, but I wanted to come over to you, Kevin. Do you agree with Stu? Have you got any more sort of points to add for that? And then we'll do a quick match rating, but I want them to be pretty quick today, guys. Over to you, buddy.
I mean, if people are asking for the manager to go, you said there's not many more of these left, but I just don't see a reason why. Like, there's no kind of next move on to something else. I mean, we've kind of tried everything now. Might as well just to put it blunt, save ourselves some money and just keep Ten Hag. I mean, there's no point paying off another guy to bring in someone else who might
a lot of people were taking the piss before about all vibes and no tactics, and I feel like we're seeing exactly the same now. And at some point, you've got to try and draw the line and see what's actually an issue. You've got potentially 4 lots of teams there over the years that are all congregated together. 4 different managers. We're still struggling to ship out players, and it doesn't make excuses for today, but I'm just trying to tell you that getting rid of Ten Hag, he's not got it easy, man. He's probably got the hardest job in the world, let's be honest. Really, really difficult. Really, really difficult. Hammer, over to you, buddy.
I mean, yeah, I agree with what y'all are talking about. There's not much you can do because, like Kevin said, there's not many options, right? Like, even if it was true that it got to this point, which it hasn't necessarily, because even with the frustration we're all having, there's a couple big factors, but the biggest factor is the injuries. I think Ten Hag said it a few weeks ago. He hasn't been able to put out whatever he would be considered, or been able to figure out whatever he would consider his best starting 11. Which, fine, you can give him, a little bit longer of a leash in that, but it's gonna, there's gonna be a point where questions are gonna be asked. But even when we get to that point, if we get to that point, there's not options. Like, we're gonna do an interim like we did with Carrick. Like, there's no other coach out there. And I could ask all these fans on Twitter and here who are saying to get him out, who would y'all replace him with?
They'll all want De Zerbi because they're morons. They'll all want De Zerbi. They'll go, we've got to get De Zerbi from Brighton. Honestly, that'll be it. That'll be next.
That's the reason that's stupid to me is because Brighton would be dumb as shit to let him, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are we
Yeah,
gonna
but
do?
that's
Spend exorbitant money to get him? Like,
if you ask anyone now, they'll say deserve it.
You get too many people. Listen, I don't want to go into this.
No,
much,
yeah,
but you get too many people romanticizing about the current jargon, the current
like whoever's
sort of
hot now.
exactly, and it just doesn't work. Right, I'm gonna just do a quick rating for Onana then. And we're going to wrap up. I know it's early. I know it's been a really disjointed today, but it's been a bit of a nightmare, to be honest with you. And to be honest with you, I want a nice evening now, go to the gym and enjoy myself. So, Kevin, I'm going to give you Onana because it's been a while since I've seen you, my man. And of course, Hammer, you can go and watch the Giants in peace now as well, buddy. Kevin, over to you, mate.
Probably the only player who's going to get more than 5, 6. And he conceded 3 goals, but hey.
It's a mad one. He's hopefully turned a corner. We're not gonna rate anyone else. As far as I'm concerned, nobody else deserves it today. Just Onana for me, and I'm sorry about that. That frustrating, I think. Guys,
I think I think we all agree. Even with the 3-0, if he didn't make the saves he made, it would have been what 6-7-0. Yeah,
and probably more after that. I tell you what, it did frustrate me actually after half time because I thought they were going to leave Onana's save from Haaland, the header, because they showed Edison. I thought, of course they're not going to show you Onana's, but then of course after the break it showed it, so that I was a bit agitated at that point. But incredible. And considering the first few games he's had and the turnaround he's had, he was great today. Anyway, guys, I'm so sorry about this today. It's been a nightmare, and as I said, disjointed. Just one of those. Hopefully, it sorts itself out. We got a game midweek, Stu. I think we have, haven't we?
Wednesday, Newcastle, Carabao Cup.
Yes, of course it is. So Wednesday, 8:15, and
that's going to be equally as fun as today.
Maybe. Although they didn't do too well against Wolves, did they? We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, Carabao Cup, 8:15, so we'll probably be here at 10:15. Anyway, guys, as I said, nightmare today. Apologies. Kevin, Hammer, Stu, go and enjoy your weekends. And I'm sorry it's all short and sweet today. But until then, we will see you next time.